Okay, hey guys, welcome to this live full moon, a ceremony where today I'm going to give you a live presentation reminding you of just how special you are. Each of us are so undeniably, unimaginably special and unique. And today I would like to um, I would like to detail that specific to your sun sign. So today we have a full moon in Cancer. It hit exact this morning at 5 a.m. for those of us on the West Coast. I'm here in California. So about 6 hours ago from the recording of this ceremony. And Aquarius is the 11th sign, and this is the second full moon in Aquarius that we've had this year. It's very rare to have two full moons in the same sign, but it does happen because we have 30 degrees for each sign. That's 30 days. And the lunation cycle is 28 and a half days. So every now and then, and it's rare, but we'll get two full moons in the same sign. That brings us a total of 3 lunations here in the season of Leo, which is pretty significant considering how it's aspecting the other planets, considering where Jupiter is and how close it is to this full moon. And last night, I got a video of it. I posted it on my Instagram story, but it didn't go through for some reason. You could see the full moon and you could see Jupiter right next to the full moon in Aquarius. And it was such a sight to see. And it just brought to mind the song, "When You Wish Upon a Star, Makes No Difference Who You Are," because Jupiter really is the sign of wishes coming true. It's the biggest boy in our solar system, the largest planet, and it's the planet of abundance, of gifts, of positivity. It's called the Great Benefic in astrology because it truly does bestow beneficence upon us. And so this is an extremely lucky full moon, you could say, with Jupiter being the planet of luck. But luck is just really being open to responding to an opportunity when it arises. And that's really what luck is. It's a spiritual state of being present to the moment. And Jupiter is Zeus in Greek mythology. He's the king of the gods, the king of all the other planets. And so I'm going to talk about how this full moon is so close to Jupiter and what it means for our lives here in this year of 2021. Such a crazy year to be alive. And so Aquarius is also the sign of being different, of being special. It's opposite Leo, which is why we have a full moon, because the sun is in Leo. So the moon is in the opposite sign, and that brings it to full light. And just as Leo is the sign of being your own self, your own creative, heart-based, royal, regal, sovereign self, it's the sign of royalty, and it's the sign of the sun, because just as the heart is just as the sun is the heart of the solar system, the sun represents the heart of you in your birth chart, because the sun is the heart of the entire system. And it gives life to every part of the system, just as your heart gives life to every part of your body. So it truly is what makes you royal, a sovereign soul in this life, the fact that you have a heart, if you really think about it. And so opposite that is Aquarius, right? It's the water bearer. And that's a sign of also being a sovereign self. But that sign is ruled by Saturn rather than the sun. And Aquarius is an air sign rather than a fire sign like Leo. So these two signs are very complementary. And how you could think of it is, on the one hand, we have the water bearer, the Aquarius, which is serving the people, right, by pouring the water forth, while Leo is like the king or the royalty. So we have sort of the people, and we have the elect in Leo. And these are the two signs that rule these two things in life, the fact that we have rulers and then we have the ruled. And it's interesting. It's a very interesting symbolism that we have here, because it seems to be required in this reality that we have strong leaders and that we have strong people. And, in America, the people are the last check and balance. And that's what the whole Second Amendment and everything is about, because power ultimately corrupts. That's what we learn in Leo, the sign of power, the sign of the sun, if you abuse that power that's given to you, you become prideful, you become arrogant, and you become destructive, not only to yourself, but to all others. And so Aquarius is that check and balance that really checks Leo and keeps Leo in alignment with not just what is good for the self, but what is good for all other selves. And that's what the water bear is about. It's an air sign, not a water sign, but the water in that image of the water bearer symbolizes a mental, because air is mental, a mental nourishment, which can only come from the spirit. And so the balance of Leo and Aquarius is really a spiritual balance between being rightly ruled from within. And because you're rightly ruled from within, you can get along with all other people. You can treat all people the same with perfect love, which is what Leo is truly about. And that's what Aquarius is about as well, serving people out of the love of your heart and just pouring forth that gift that you have, whether it's, like the water bearer pouring water from the urn, or whether it's a unique talent that you have, or whatever it is. And so we're going to explore based on each of your sun signs today, what makes you unique and special, and also what your sun sign says about how you can be a positive force in the world. It's all within us. We all have a heart. We all have a sun sign, and your sun sign relates to your positive emanation of energy. All right. The part of you that is positive to your environment, that is responsive rather than reactive or negative. And we all have that inside of us in a unique way. So that's what I would like to show you today. So let's get into it. I just want to welcome everybody who's here live. I appreciate you being here live. And because you're here live, you get a special gift that nobody else gets. And that is a discount to my readings. You get 20% off a reading if you would like to do that. So thank you for being here, everybody who's here. I love you all so very much. And let's get into the presentations, shall we? I think we shall. So let me pull it up here. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada doom, bada da dum. I really hope everybody's having a good week. It is terribly smoky today. Last night I was tossing and turning in my bed because I never sleep on a full moon. That's a guarantee. Oh, full moon? Oh, no sleep. So I'm tossing and turning and I'm like, I could use some fresh air. So I open my window and I smell through the screen and it's just like a campfire, just like right outside my window. And I'm like, ugh, close it back up. No fresh air for me. No fresh air for a few weeks. Yeah, kind of rough. So pray for California. Pray for Cali. All right, we got a presentation here for you guys. And that's what we're doing. I love to present. So happy full moon today, guys. Like I said, it was exact about 6 hours ago at peak lunar light. It was exactly full this morning at 5 a.m. on the West Coast. So a few things before we get really rolling here. Let me just copy and paste this whole entire thing that I want to share with you guys. So this is an all signs astrology presentation. I'm kind of doing some rebranding. I want to be more inclusive and show everyone that everybody who's born on this earth is somewhere along that round table that we call the zodiac. We all have a soul, believe it or not. I know it seems like some people don't, but they do. And it's all within us to do the right thing and to be of the light rather than of the darkness. And so all signs astrology is my way of bringing people together and to remind all the signs that you are somewhere on this circle and you do belong here on this earth. So thoughts on Ophiuchus, it's not a real sign. It's just a star constellation and it's BBC propaganda to get you to doubt the age-old, thousands upon thousands years old tradition of Western astrology, which goes not based on the constellations, but on the seasons. So I'm going to show you how that works actually in tropical astrology. But Ophiuchus it's not a sign, it never was, and it never will be. So here's my contact info. I'm an astrological counselor slash spiritual advisor slash coach, you could say, for the last 10 years, helping people get back in alignment with themselves. That's been my entire journey. My whole life, I've just wanted to know who I was. So I've always loved psychology. I took every personality test I could find until finally I realized it didn't work. The personality test did not do it for me. It didn't help me learn about who I was. I was just very confused as a kid as to who I was. I have a lot of contradictory characteristics, and I was, to be totally honest with you, a complete mystery to myself. It put me in a dark place. And so I sought for the light, and I saw it very persistently. And you can see that in my chart that I'm extremely stubborn, persistent, and all that stuff. So I just applied that to my search for knowledge of who I was. It led me to astrology. And once I learned how to read my astrological birth chart, I was blown away at the fact that it was like a mirror showing me my own soul and every characteristic of my personality and why I have those characteristics, how they actually come from my unique soul. So ever since that day, I made a promise to help others who were suffering in the same way that I was, and to just to give that same value that I received from astrology to others. And ever since then, for 10 years, what I've been doing essentially is pointing the way back to the kingdom within by reading charts and healing hearts. And of course, I don't do the healing. That's done by God, and I just act as a channel for that energy called God, which is in your heart. It's the living God enthroned within the temple, which is your body. So I help seekers of truth remember how to tap into the source within them to overcome all things. I found that you literally can overcome all things in this life. You can be in the world, but not of it, if you so choose to be. You can also be of it. That's also a choice. You can be in the world and of the world. The problem with that is that's the path to death. That's the wide way to destruction, because everything that arises on the screen of consciousness in this life, in this material realm, must die. Currently, I believe one day, we'll return back to our immortal state. But currently, to live in the world and of the world is to be of death, but to live in it, but not of it, is to transcend it and to be of life. Life does transcend this world when you think about it. So actually, before I get ahead of myself, I'm going to post some links here in the chat. This is where your gifts are going to be. So if you want to leave a donation, that is very kind of you. You don't feel obligated. This presentation is totally free. That's just an amazing way that you can give back if you feel like doing so. And if you do, I really appreciate it. It allows me to continue to do things like this. So thank you for considering leaving a donation. I truly do appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted. If you don't want to donate, but instead want to get one of my astrological services, that's another amazing way to support me. So you can go to my Beacons page. It's beacons.page/Christian Klausner. And there's all my offers. There's my free birth chart guide. There's my Patreon, where you can get Lightworker monthly transit reports. And you can also schedule a reading with me there. And if you want to schedule a reading, you can use that coupon code I put down there for 20% off. And if you don't know the time you were born, you can try to get in contact with the hospital you were born at. If that doesn't work, then I will pray and I'll ask my guides and I'll pick a time and we'll just go from there. Because there's still a lot that I can see from your chart, even if we don't know your birth time. So don't be dismayed. So there's your coupon code. Also, join my Facebook group. If you are on Facebook, get in that group. It's currently called the Astrology Lovers and Lightworkers Facebook group. I think I'm going to change that to All Signs Astrology. We'll see. We'll see. It's a very small group right now, only 10 members. I invite you into that group just so you can get involved. So join that group. If you're on your phone watching this on Zoom, I think the best way to do that would be to open the chat, copy that link, switch over to your browser, post it in the browser, and then come right back to the meeting. And then you'll get to it after the meeting. I think that'd be the best way. If you're on a laptop or a computer, You should be able to just look in the chat and click the links, and it'll take you where you need to go. So does Lightworker suggest that there are dark workers? Absolutely, of course. And I'm going to get into that today. There are two forces. I used to think that the darkness was not a force. I used to think there was only one force. And on a certain level, that is true. Compared to the force of light, there's no other power. What power can stand against God? But in life, currently, there is a force of evil. And I didn't want to accept this back in my hippie days, but I've come to terms with reality in an amazing way that has given me perfect peace. And that is that there is darkness, there is light, and there's no free will. And you don't have to take my word for this. Don't believe me just because I said it. But I've been studying astrology. I've been studying our willpower, free will, been studying the mind and its mechanics and the soul. And I've come to the conclusion there is no free will, because I can see in my own life how this played out. We either serve the darkness or we're serving the light, and human beings have no free will. It's all in the master that we're serving. And this should make you feel a little free. Okay, this should free you up when you realize this. And this is what reality with a capital R does. It makes you free. It makes you love life. It gives you peace. So you're either serving the darkness or you're serving the light, and not both. It's one or the other. And it takes extreme ego defying and destroying honesty in order to find out which one you're serving. And you know by the fruits of your life, by the fruits that it's producing. That's how you know. And another way to know is if you see somebody who's emanating light and goodness and service towards humanity, and you don't like them, that's because the darkness doesn't like the light. So that's a good way to know if you're serving the dark, if you're of the darkness. And I want you to know there's no judgment. It's not an issue. It's not personal. It's spiritual. This is a spiritual reality in which we live. And it was very hard for me to come to terms with the fact that even though I wanted to be of the light, I still had anger. I still had hatred in my heart. And that doesn't jive. You can't enter into the kingdom within, the kingdom of heaven, which is inside of you, with that nature of hate. So you're just not going to get in because that's not the way it works. So to be honest about this thing and then to repent for that hatred is the most magical thing I ever did in my life. And I have to tell you, yes, you are 100% unique. You truly are. And nobody else has your story. But God made a way for us to return to perfect peace, to paradise. And the only way to do that, as he said in his scriptures, and this is said in all kinds of scriptures, Buddhist scripture, Hindu scripture, you must go and forgive before you can enter into that kingdom within. Because when you forgive, you're forgiven. God forgives you as you forgive. And so to forgive is to see that people can't help themselves. They don't have free will. They either have love or they don't. And when they don't have love, that's the best they can do. The way they traumatized you and everything, that was the best they could do, unfortunately. And so when you see that they can't help it, that causes you to forgive. And then the icing on the cake, the thing that will make you truly free, is when you go to them and verbally tell them, I'm sorry for hating you. I forgive you. I realize now you couldn't help it. You did the best you can. And I let it go. And when you say this, however you want to say it, however you want to word it, it's most powerful if you word it in the way that forgiveness truly is, which is apologizing for the resentment towards them. You apologize for resenting them for what they did and who they are. Then that will completely destroy your ego, and it'll wipe your heart of that hate. You won't have that nature of anger anymore. It's been a couple years now since I've done that and forgiven my parents. And here's the trick as well. When you're in darkness, you can't quite see. And so whoever doesn't have love, they can't see what they're doing. And just like you wouldn't hate a blind person for being blind, that would make no sense. They can't help it. In the same way, evil people can't help it. They can't see. And so it's amazing to see that. But here's the trick, right? You have to forgive first, and then you'll probably start to see what you actually needed to forgive them for. But it won't matter as long as you forgive. You don't need to get into the details of it. You just have to realize you're wrong for resenting, and that will cause this change within you. And I'm not, I'm speaking from as a witness here. My life has changed since I've done this. So I got to start this presentation off with this because I want you to be free. But if you don't want it, I don't care. That's the thing that with perfect peace, I'm doing my best to serve humanity, but I've realized people don't want to hear the truth. Most people don't want the truth. And that was a depressing fact for me for a while, but now I've come to terms with it. So the one thing I never do is try and convince you of the truth. I can see that the truth is inside of you. And if you can't see it, that's not on me. So I have perfect peace now because there's no hate in my heart. It's an amazing way to live. I could almost boohoo about it because I'm not living in my thoughts. I'm not living in my anger anymore. And to live there is, it was horrible, you know, but to come out of my head and to live in my heart is a gift that I can't even describe to you. So I just recommend you go to your parents and forgive them. Even if you don't know what you're forgiving them for, just do that. And then God will cause you to see yourself. He will cause you to see your life. But the number one thing is to just go and get that done first. Just go forgive. So that's amazing, because the one thing we don't have a right to do in this life, and I don't care what anybody says, the one thing we don't have a right to do as spirits is to hate, because to hate is to judge our fellow human beings. And if we have any resentment for our parents, we're judging them. You're judging another human being and you're being a hypocrite. And it's impossible to live, to truly live in that sort of conflict. So that's the number one thing that has saved me. It has completely renewed my nature. I've been reborn just by forgiving. And it took a while. It took me meeting coming in contact with a teacher who he's an old man and he gets up at 3 a.m. every morning just to meditate for 2 hours. So I love the guy. So let's keep going here. And I will answer these awesome questions that are being put in the chat in a little bit. Awesome. One comment here. Yeah, I realized that as our parents were raising us, they were also still growing up. So I try to be gentle on my mom. Beautiful. So here's the thing. Each of you are 100% unique. And you're able to see this fact in astrology. Astrology puts this together for you so you can have undeniable proof of it. See, the planets are all the planets, each planet has its own rhythm, which it never deviates from. It's like perfect clockwork. There's literally perfect order in the heavens. And due to that nature of the unique rhythm that each planet has, they're all making unique combinations every single moment of every single day. So the moment that you were born, you have a unique pattern, and that pattern is reflected in the planets. And it's mind-blowing. So when you learn astrology, which is the study of the cycles of the heavens, you can see how you are unique. Isn't that so cool? It's really cool. So the ways we can tell that you're unique is because in the 12 signs, there are 4 elements that repeat throughout the 12 signs 3 times, because 4 times 3 is 12. It goes fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water. And that completes the circle. There's also 3 modes: cardinal, fixed, and mutable. These relate to the 3 forms of energy, the 3 movements. We have centrifugal, centripetal, and vibratory energy. All right. This is the Holy Trinity. This is the 3 Hindu gods, the god of preservation, the god of creation, and the god of destruction. So then there's different combinations. So there's 1 cardinal fire sign, there's 1 cardinal earth sign, 1 cardinal air, and 1 cardinal water, and so on for each of those 3. Now, I hope you're following here, but basically I just want you to know cardinal signs start the season. So like Aries, it initiates spring. So these guys are starters. Cardinal signs are starters. They're initiators, and in many respects, they're leaders. They go first. They have the natural impulse to go first. Fixed signs, they hold it down, okay? They hold down the seasonal energy. So like Leo is in the middle of summer. So Leo has a fixed nature, because in the middle of the season, that seasonal energy, whether it's the coldness of winter or the crisp coolness of spring, it is steady in its energy. And so similarly, fixed signs are very steady. Mutable signs help to translate and change the seasonal energies, for example, of summer into fall, which is what we're about to be in. And today is actually the first day of Virgo season. So we're officially into the transition into fall. Virgo is going to be the last sign of summer. It's a mutable sign. And these three, cardinal, fixed, mutable, correspond to action, desire, and cognition. And so this is how we're going to show you how you are unique. So something to know, there's 4 elements, there's 3 modes, 2 polarities, yin and yang, and 1 life that we're all unified in. It's pretty mind-blowing once you understand this system. So from unity, right? So we come from unity, and then it's split into male and female, yin and yang. And then we have another split. So the masculine energy is split into fire and air, fire being the more masculine one of the two, and air being the more receptive one of the two. And then likewise, yin splits into earth and water, water being the more active element and earth being the more receptive element. And once you start getting this, this is just going to click, because this is in your DNA. This is written into your very being, and you're going to understand this very easily. And this is how we understand personality, because even though these are qualities in nature, these are qualities of personal energy. These are personality qualities. You know if somebody's fiery, you just know what that means, don't you? It means they're excitable. Maybe they're inspiring or inspired. Maybe impulsive, fiery. They're probably hot. You know what fiery means, right? Likewise, you know what watery means. It means they're flowy, sensitive, receptive. They're cooling to be around. You feel nourished when you're around them. You feel cared for. Earthy people are stable. They're solid. They are practical. They have a solid ground underneath their feet, and they're down to earth. Even our language reflects all this, right? So this is, like I said, this is hardwired into our very being. This is how life is put together. This is how our personalities are put together. Because as an astrologer, you start to understand as within, so without. And that applies to all levels of life. So even though we have these qualities in nature, we also have them as qualities of personality, of personal being, inward states. It's really, really, really cool. And so Carl Jung classified 4 different types of personalities. And these were classed as intuition, thinking, feeling, and sensation. He noticed that there's certain people who rely more on thinking in order to glean, knowledge, or in order to understand reality. They rely on their thinking. He noticed that other people, Carl Jung was an amazing psychologist and psychotherapist. He noticed that some people rely more on their intuition. Some rely more on feeling to indicate reality to them. And some rely more on sensation, on literally feeling it in their body. And that would be earth people. So what Carl Jung did is he took down the birth charts of his clients for a long time secretly in order to give himself more insight into his clients. He really wanted to serve people. He was amazing in how he contrasted Freud in that way. I think Freud wanted to help too, but he was very cynical, Freud was, and it was much more dry than Carl Jung. Carl Jung was very inspired, and Carl Jung looked to the mythologies, and the mythology is what's left over as a dream state of where humanity has come from. You know, when our intuition was really working and we were one with nature, we understood these forces that play throughout nature. And the mythologies that we have, they deem these qualities as gods, right? We have Agni, the god of fire, the Lord who presides literally over inspiration and fire in nature. So they had all these different gods assigned to these things. And these are the distant memories of a long forgotten past, which is our connection to the divine, which is connected to us through nature, through our nature. So I hope that makes sense. So we've got spirit, mental, soul, and physical. Soul is also synonymous with emotion, because the heart communicates meaning to us through emotion, through our feeling. And so there are layers to this, just as we see layers in nature of density. These are the different layers of our being. And I want you to know that, you could do whatever you want on the physical level, but or on the emotional level, or even on the mental level, you can have all kinds of thoughts. You could do your affirmations all day long. But until you work on the level of spirit, which is the highest level, nothing in life can change. Not really. It might change on the surface, you could work out every day physically, but that's not going to change the inner nature of you, which changes from the level of the spirit. That's the causal level. So I love working with causes and not effects. That's why I invited you at the beginning of this to go and forgive so that you can become free. Yes. So Zari says, I'm a Capricorn. Does being a cardinal earth sign help my abilities as an empath? It certainly could. Absolutely. Because cardinal disposes you to want to take action or move forward or be the first to go. And then earth allows you to sense things through your body. So absolutely. So, right, we've got the 4 types here. This is what we have. We have the thinking type, which relates to air, the intuition type, which relates to fire, the feeling type, which relates to water, and the sensation type, which relates to earth. Just, some basic concepts to lay down before I get into each of the 12 signs, and then I'll talk about this full moon energy. So air is rational analysis, understanding, and responding with the intellect, connecting ideas to come to a general understanding. And typically these people are detached and unemotional, because you do have to detach, and you have to especially detach from feeling if you want to get an objective overview or of an analysis of information, right? So these people are naturally, the most cut off from water, just as air is the most dry element, you could say. It's pretty far off from water in that respect. Intuition is gut feeling. This relates to fire, the fire in the belly, the solar plexus. Gut feeling experience given without the use or medium of mental activity. So it transcends the mind. Source of inspiration, creativity, novel ideas. Most people, because of our logical, linear, left brain society, live in their head. That mental chatter that goes on, that's where they live. And the best way that I've been able to transcend this and literally not live in my thoughts, I can be aware of my thoughts, but I don't live in that anymore. And trust me, I used to. I was very heady. The number one way that got me out of that was realizing that every thought is a lie. No, there's no such thing as a true thought. And if you could give me one, that'd be great. But I haven't seen one yet, because the mind thinks, but the heart knows. So when it comes to knowledge, that's something that transcends the mind. And if you can just doubt every thought, what happens is you immediately come into faith. You, by default, just by doubting the thoughts, just by not buying into the thoughts as being true, you immediately come into the present moment, and you can start to see with your spiritual eyes. But most people can't see. So I don't blame them. And I'm not surprised when people don't understand when I say that every thought is a lie, because they can't be lies if you live there. There has to be some truth if you live there, because you live there. So, but in order to come out of it, you just start to doubt every thought, and you'll start to see what is true in front of you, and it'll come from the heart. It'll come before the thought even arises. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's so amazing. So, because the Buddhists say, don't identify with your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Well, my way of saying that, because it's helped me with my Western brain, is to see that every thought is a lie. Well, what is true then? It causes you to seek the truth, and you'll find that truth in the insight, the spiritual insight of your heart. Interesting word, right? Insight. It's the inner vision of your heart. So sensation is conscious perception. This relates to earth through sense organs, practical and systematic. If I can see it and feel it, it's real. That's the practical element of earth. Water is feeling, interprets things at a value level, evaluates by feelings of pleasant or unpleasantness. And this is the emotional element. Water is emotional. So which one are you? Are you fire? Are you air, earth, or water? And the next question to find out is, apart from your sun sign, what are you most dominant in? This was mind opening for me to find out what elements I'm dominant in. Big surprise, I'm dominant in fire and air of the fixed quality. So very heady, very in my head, or I was before before I forgave and was able to come out of my thoughts. Very lost, very up in my head, very ungrounded, very, very in the clouds, right? Very ethereal. And, now I'm a little more balanced because God changed my nature from hate to love. So it's amazing how things change, just from that. One example is I used to hate the winter. I used to love summer and hate the winter. And now I'm more balanced. I'm more rounded. I actually enjoy the winter now. So that's one example of how my nature has literally changed just by forgiving. So where are you on these 4 elements? This is the main thing we're going to look at today. Because depending on the element of your sun, this indicates your sun sign soul lesson, the lesson that you're here to learn in this lifetime as a soul. So if you're a fire sign, your soul lesson is love. And that's because you radiate such energy that it's possible that you burn other people in this life. I definitely have gone through this as a fire sign. And it was I hated that about me. I hated stepping on people's toes, but I just have this energy inside of me that causes me to speak out or to be impulsive, and it would burn other people at times. And I would say things that would sound insensitive when I don't mean to hurt feelings, right? So that's why the soul lesson of fire signs is love. It's learning how to deal with this energy within you, which can be very destructive, but also very creative. And so love is what will temper that. That's what you're here to learn. If you're an air sign, your soul lesson in this lifetime is brotherhood/sisterhood. You're here to learn the lesson of relationship. Because just as we all breathe the same air, we all breathe the same oxygen, this one space that we all share, air signs can kind of recognize that. And another reason this is your soul lesson is because you're naturally detached from feeling in many respects. So when you understand the relationship between things and you understand that relationship, that's your soul lesson. And you're here to teach. You're the teachers of mankind, as well as the students of mankind. There's nobody who can quite as skillfully learn and teach as you guys. If you're a water sign in this lifetime, your soul lesson is peace, because water has an ebb and flow to it. And you're very intuitional by living in your feelings and your emotions. You're keyed into to the meaning of our experiences. Emotions always give us the meaning of an experience. That's why if a movie can touch your emotions, you're going to remember that movie. Water also connects to memory, the waters of mem, mem ori. I think that in Latin, that's like water of light. So it's the reflective nature that you come into this life with, which requires peace, because without peace, if the waters are crazy, you can't see the reflection on it. But if the waters become still, if they become peaceful, then the waters, which is a symbol for your emotions, become calm, and you can see the reflection of the sky on your feelings. In other words, you can see the reflection of the true spiritual meaning of this life reflected on your peaceful emotions. So the lesson for you to learn if you're a water sign is peace. Okay. And that's where your strength is going to come, because still waters run deep. If you're an earth sign, your soul lesson, my friend, is service. You're here to serve. Your practicality, your pragmatism, your methodologies, and your ability to be methodical in life is best, used for the service of humanity. Otherwise, earth signs tend to depression. Just as earth is very dense, very condensing, I've known a lot of earth signs who tend towards depressive states. And that's because your gifts aren't being appreciated or utilized for service. But if you orient your gifts and your personal energies towards service of humanity, you have that work ethic, you have that ability to persist, that the ways in which you will create a new reality here on earth are just going to be so mind-blowing. It'll be out of this world. So your soul lesson is service. All right. And in many ways, all of these have to do with service. This is all a way to serve. Somebody named Christian Klausner in the chat. I don't know why. Maybe it just gave you my name. I'm not sure. Can you give me an example of a false thought? Yeah, any thought. Any thought has no truth to it. Because you might see a tree and you'll think, this is a tree. And that thought is not true, because what's in front of you is not a tree. What's in front of you is a living reality that we have labeled tree. So you won't be able to see that that thought has no reality, no truth to it, if you can't see with your spiritual eyes. If you can only see with your mental eyes, then that tree is a tree to you, and it'll forever be a tree. It won't be the experiential reality of the thing that we just happen to have labeled a tree. And I could say any example, because I have not found a single true thought yet, but I'll keep searching. I definitely have an open mind about it. So that's an example of a false thought. Awesome comments in the comment section, guys. Thank you. So again, just the last little thing about these 4 elements. These are qualities. These are qualities of energy that you can literally feel come off of other people. So fire is hot and dry. Medieval thinkers believed there were 4 elements that made up all of matter, each possessing 2 possible thermal states and 2 states of humidity. So these are, this is material life. This is life here on this world. These states each had an opposite, but they could combine to make all the material substances. The substances were thought to be ranked, in a chain, with fire being the highest ranked, air the next highest, followed by water, and then earth was considered the lowest and least, quote unquote, spiritual of the 4. The most dense, right? That's why the physical world is considered to be the lowest world. If you look at the Kabbalah, it's the lowest world here. It's Malkuth. I'm pretty sure that's the word for it. And there's worlds above. So water. So all of these have a different combination of coldness or hotness and dryness or wetness. So earth is cold and dry, of course. Fire is hot and dry. Air is warm and wet, and water is cold and wet. So this is how medieval thinkers classified it all. And if you look down here, this is the spectrum, right? There's kind of a spectrum that goes on here between dry and cool, moist and warm. It's fire, earth, air, water. It's so amazing. And what is the 5th element? Maybe you're wondering, what's the 5th element? The 5th element is the ether. It's what holds all things together. It's what allows electromagnetic and radio waves to travel through. And essentially, it's Indra's web. It's the connectedness of all things, but it's really you as the observer. It is your awareness behind the phenomena of the 4 elements. It contains and transcends all manifestation. It's the key to our freedom, because just as you observe things, you can't quite observe the observer. But what happens is whatever is observed has a temporariness to it. It arises in consciousness and then passes. It manifests and then it fades. But the observer stays the same. It's a constant. So the observer is the 5th element. And whenever in life, you just remain the observer. So let's say somebody hurts your feelings, right? And then you have a thought, and your thought tells you, this person's trying to hurt me. And if you believe that lie of the thought, that'll cause you to experience an emotion, right? So we just went down the chain. Did you catch that? So first we had the awareness of what happened. That's fire. Then we had the air, the mental. We had a thought about what happened. Believing that thought caused you to feel a certain way. Now we're in the water. And because you had that emotion, now your body is physiologically reacting to that. So did you see that? So we just went down the line of fire, air, water, and earth. Now, because you believed the lie in your head, rather than believing the truth of your heart, that person offended you. Now, we still have two choices here. We can react based on what the thought has told us and become angry with that person and lash out at them. Or you can stay the observer, stay in that fifth element, remain aware of the person and what they've said, remain aware of how it affected you, and then just realize that the awareness is enough. And if you can just remain aware, you will learn about yourself. You will learn why that hurt you. You will learn, you'll learn everything you need to learn, because if you remain open to just staying aware, you might have the inspiration within you, which comes from higher realms, not the lower realms, but the higher realms, to ask that person, why did you say this? Rather than becoming identified with what your thought told you their intention was, and which causes you to assume what their intentions were, and there's no way to learn in that state. So spirit can literally save us and cause us to understand ourselves and others. But it's very important that we don't take things personally, because even if somebody is trying to personally harm you, it's a spiritual thing that they're doing that. They have no love. Their father is the Lord of darkness. They can't help it. They have to obey their daddy. So your daddy is either the light or the darkness, and you just do what your daddy tells you, and nobody can help themselves. That's what's so amazing about awareness, because awareness comes from the God of light, which will cause you to not overreact. And as long as you don't overreact, you'll be in a state of poise and peace. Somebody said, dude, that's some deep blank. I wonder who said that. For some reason, they have my name as Christian Klausner on there. Is their name. That's funny. Pretty amazing. So isn't this so cool? I mean, spirituality truly is practical. The issue is we don't want to be honest with ourselves, because there's this thing in operation called the ego, which has hijacked our awareness. It's hijacked our perception. The ego is this need for us to appear like we are perfect. And it even needs to convince ourselves of that. That's why if we can be honest, then we can destroy that ego matrix, and we can come out of it, and we can start to see the truth about ourselves and about the world. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty practical way to live. And it's amazing. Sorry said, it's interesting how much the elements mirror the medicine wheel in First Nation culture. Yeah, I've heard that. Absolutely. And she also said, OMG, stop. I do not need to be read like this. And Ryan said, ooh woo. Christina is here. Awesome, Christina. All right, guys, let's continue. So now I'm going to talk to each of the signs. And I'm going to start, of course, with Aries. So, oopsies, if there's any Aries in here, hi, Aries. I want to remind you all of what your gifts are now. This is the part of the presentation where I want to remind you of the spiritual gifts that lie within each one of you. The ability to remain positive to your life, to remain the observer, the spiritual observer, not the personal identifier with what is observed. You have to remain the observer of whatever you observe. That's how you remain pure. And you truly are pure. The only time you become tainted is when you identify with what you see. I don't identify with what I see in the mirror, folks. I just don't. And I don't have an opinion about myself. I have no opinion, none. I don't need one. I just need to please my Lord, who lives in my heart, who gives me life. I'm not beating my heart. And in fact, before we get into this exercise and look at the whole 12 signs, I would like for us to do a little exercise, all right? So maybe you're busy, maybe you're listening to this, maybe you're in the car, maybe you're making some food, whatever you're doing, you can still do what you're doing, and just keep listening to the sound of my voice and follow along with this exercise, simple breathing exercise. This is going to entrain you to the heart. This has been scientifically proven to cause you to manifest what you want faster, to become who you want to be faster, and to give you, a sense of perfect peace. It literally calms the waves of the brain, brings you into a more controlled and relaxed state, which makes it easier to observe phenomena rather than identify with phenomena. And so what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is slow our breathing down. And we're going to slow the in-breath to a count of 5. So with me now, if you would, breathe in for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to breathe out for 5. Just relaxed. Don't try and force it. If it has to be 4 seconds, that's fine. You'll eventually move up to 5. When you slow your breathing down, you're telling your body that you're in a safe place. When your body knows that you're in a safe place, then it's easy to manifest what you want. It's easy to be in alignment with your soul. So continue to breathe in this rhythmic way. Breathe in for 5 and breathe out for 5. And whatever you're doing right now, I would love for you to just take one of your hands. I like using my right hand, and gently touch your heart center. Because whatever part of your body you touch, that brings your awareness, your consciousness to that part of the body. And we want to entrain to the heart because that's where the source of your life is. And the source of your life is the source of all things. The heart is the last place in the body to die. That means it's the first part to live. And it's where your life comes from. It's where your consciousness comes from. And without consciousness, without awareness, we have nothing. Just like without the sun, we have no reality. So go ahead and touch the God within you, which is your heart. As you breathe in for a count of 5 and breathe out for a count of 5. We're entraining to the heart. The heart knows what the true you desires. And God said, if you truly desire it in your heart, you will have it. God actually wants you to have your desires. He placed those desires in your heart so that you could see them fulfilled. The fact that you have the desire is the evidence that you will have that thing in this lifetime. Isn't that so cool? So I want you to start to believe in yourself, believe in the divine that lives inside of you, and start to make this spirituality thing a practical matter in your life. And when you put God first, when you put the spirit first, you cannot be controlled by anything or person or place in this lifetime. It's impossible when you put God first. And that's why he asks us to put him first, because that way we can be protected from evil. You can see evil, you can see where people are coming from, and you'll know how to deal with it in a perfect way without overreacting. Because love conquers all, and love casts out all fear. So continue to breathe in this slow and relaxed pattern while you just simply touch your heart. All right. And now I'd like for you to think of one thing in your life that you are so grateful for. And focus on that feeling of gratitude. And where your attention goes, energy flows. So maybe that feeling of gratitude is growing now all on its own. And allow it to grow and allow that gratitude to pervade your entire body. And you are officially entrained to the heart. All right, that's amazing. So now from this heart space, if the sun was in Aries when you were born, that indicates that your heart in this life, your gift, your spiritual gift to remain positive, comes from being a trailblazer. It comes from going first, from having this fire within you to move, to be the first one to go or to act. You are, an image of independence, Aries, and it's within you. If you will give yourself permission to be first, if you'll realize that it's your birthright to go first, and you don't need the permission from anyone. Don't wait for validation, for acceptance, or for permission from anyone outside of you. Aries, your gift for this world is to show others that they also have the same permission, but you're a true embodiment of it. So your gift is really the gift of the self, of what it is to be a self in this life. And please don't ever forget that. Taurus. Hey, Taurus. Hi. Your spiritual gifts in this life, you as an earth sign and as a fixed earth sign, you have the gift of being a stabilizer, somebody who people can rely on. Your energy is calming to be around, it's grounded, and people love it. It's nourishing. You have to realize that it's within you to grow any good thing. You truly have the touch of the gardener, somebody who can bring life to things. And and a lot of this comes from being able to take your time in life, you know. It's when we rush that we make a mess of things. So if you'll give yourself permission, Taurus, to slow down, to be yourself, and to focus on the things in life that you love, that bring loveliness or beauty or harmony to your life, then just by focusing on these things, you're going to grow more of it. Try and realize that so much of your life has hinged upon where you put your attention, not on whether things work out or are not working out, but what you focus on. And so, you know, you have the ability to be a positive force in your environment by focusing on what is good, what is green, what is growing, and not what is decaying or what's dying, but what is happening, what's growing, what has life. So just give yourself permission also to work in the pace that is right for you, because you are a grower. You're a sign of productivity, of stability, and there's a rhythm to that. And so you have to be the leader of your life to declare, this is my rhythm. This is the pace at which I work. And if you will do that, you'll get more done than many other people ever would in their seeming state of productivity, which is really just speedy activity. They're not doing action. They're not getting anything done. They're just doing activity, right? They're being active. They're not taking action. There's a difference there. It's subtle, but it's true. And so, Taurus, give yourself permission to create a rhythm out of your life. And that's where many of your gifts are, whether they're musical or anything, really. It translates into anything. So Taurus, that's you. You're solid ground. Give yourself permission to ground yourself and be in your own rhythm. So Gemini, the third sign, Gemini, you have a gift of gab in this lifetime. There's no denying that. You're the sign of communication. You're a talker. And it's within you to remain positive in your environment if you will speak from the heart. The sun, which is the heart, was in the sign of communication when you were born. And this shows that if you will speak from the heart, if you will tell the truth, even when it hurts to tell the truth, even when it hurts to hear the truth, that's where your power is. Because the truth will set you free. And freedom is a lot sweeter than feeling nice or feeling all right or whatever feeling you could have. Freedom is freedom. It's kind of actually incomprehensible because it's beyond whatever would encapsulate or encase or imprison you. And so Gemini, as an air sign, you are meant to be free, and the truth can set you free, and you can set others free as well by speaking the truth. You might be wondering, what is the truth? Well, the truth is of the heart. It's what is revealed to be true in the present moment. And of course, some research is needed. Some analytical exploring of the facts is needed. But if you remain open, then those facts will naturally come to you and you'll naturally go to them. So you're the talker. So if you'll give yourself permission to bring words to the things that lie in your heart, you will bring light to this world. And the world greatly, greatly needs it, especially now, Gemini, because the North Node is in your sign. And the North Node has been in your sign for a long time. And the North Node is where we have the eclipses. It points the way to our collective growth as humanity. So the North Node is still in your sign, buddies. So we need you. All right. You are leading the way in many ways, and you are doing that through your dedication to the truth. So just find out what's true about you, right? What's true about your life, and give yourself permission to speak it forth. Speak up, but don't resent. Don't resent what you see, but speak up about it. All right. Cancers, because we need you to do that, Gemini. We really do. Cancer, as a water sign, and the first water sign at that, you're a cardinal water sign. You're an active empath. You're very sensitive, and that is your gifts. One of the ways in which you can remain positive to this life is by feeling in to the impressions that you receive, because your impressions about life give you information about life, and that information informs you on how to act or where to go or what's the best course to take. So if you'll learn to trust your instincts rather than distrust them, then your instinct will become intuition naturally. So you need to trust your inborn sensitivity, Cancer, because in an odd way, that's actually how you remain positive to your environment. By remaining the observer of the impressions you receive, you understand what course to take. And that allows you to be positive to the environment, because then you are now taking action based on the impressions that come in. Does that make sense? So in an odd way, your receptivity to life is your most positive strength. And the willingness to feel all that life brings you is your power. So another gift you have is the gift of security, of seeing, what is truly foundationally stable and secure in life. And you really care for that. You have such a big heart. And so if you'll give yourself permission to feel life in its totality, and then you'll realize that feeling things is not going to kill you. You'll remain alive. And so that'll give you more and more courage to feel life. And as you feel life more and more keenly, you'll have the insight to deal with people and to deal with the events in life in a perfect way. You just have to trust your sensitivity. So if we come to Leo, Leo is the showman, the performer, the creative one. And Leo, it's very important that you, of course, trust your heart, because the part of the body that Leo rules is the heart and the back. But you don't need to carry the responsibility that others have to also live from the heart or to wake up. Because Leo also rules the back. And I'm a Leo, and I've had back issues in my life. And it was because of the psychological, spiritual cause, which was I was carrying people. I was carrying people's issues in my life. And when I woke up, I found out I don't need to carry that. It's not on me if anybody else wakes up or doesn't wake up. It's on me to wake myself up. And I can just be an example of how it has happened in my life. But if other people don't want to do it, it's not on you, Leo, but it is on you to remain of joy. That's how you stay positive to your life. Remain of joy. And that comes from within. The joy comes from not things or people or places. It truly does come from within you. And when you allow it to come from within, nobody can take it away. And that's how you remain positive to your environment. So give yourself permission to show that forth, to show forth the inner contents of your heart. And also give yourself permission to be a leader or to be a showman, to show forth whatever you want to show. All right. Let me check the chat here. Love it, Zari. All right. So Virgo. Virgo's the purest. This is a sign of efficiency, of logic, of analysis, but it's an earth sign. So it's also grounded in intuition. Virgo, your greatest strength in this life is the ability to observe and analyze from a place of just seeing what is true, of seeing what reality is. Virgo is actually a sign of reality. It's a sign that rules. These are the facts. This is what we're dealing with. This is it. Now, it's important that you don't put it all on you to fix it all. That's why some Virgos are a mess. Their rooms are a complete disaster. They don't keep themselves or their environments tidy because it's too much pressure. They sense that unconscious pressure to need to fix it all. And so they go, as an escape, they go, I'm not going to fix anything. But Virgo, you are such a constructive personality in this life, and you might know it or you might not even realize it. It's just the energy that radiates off you is constructive. So if you'll give yourself permission to see and observe and analyze everything that comes into the screen of your awareness and allow yourself to see it without judging it, of course, then naturally you will contribute. You'll contribute to the world, to the people in your life, and to yourself, because you will naturally see how to construct, how to fix, not out of a need to fix it, but because the energy that emanates off of you just naturally puts things back together. But have the courage, have the willingness to see what's in front of you and to see it as it is. And then, another really powerful gift that you have, Virgo, is the ability to, similar to Taurus, because as you're an earth sign, is you're a healer. And many times healing occurs just by hearing people out, just by listening. So give yourself permission to let your senses, your earthy senses, receive information. And instead of thinking, there's another form of thinking, which is more right brain, it's more heart centered. And that thinking is through sensing life. When the sounds of birds come in and the whistling of the leaves in the trees and the feeling of the wind on your skin hits, when all these senses become loaded with these inputs from nature, what happens is it automatically quiets down that mental chatter, that voice in your head that sounds like your voice, but it could also sound like Beyonce's voice if her song from the radio gets stuck in your head. That's not your voice. And this is not the only place where thinking can occur. Thinking can also occur in the senses. So Virgo, I would encourage you to open up your senses to life, which will naturally bring you out of the chatter of the mind. And from there, you'll have the clarity, which is your gift. Your gift is clarity about reality. Give yourself permission to see what you see, and give yourself permission also to be the one who tells it like it is. That's an amazing way that you remain positive to your life, to your environment. Now we come to Libra. This is the 7th sign, and this is halfway through the zodiac. So here we reach quite a turning point, because Libra is the first opposite that we're dealing with so far, and it's opposite Aries. So the sign that's opposite the self is the sign that rules others. It rules partnership. That's why Libra is the scales. It's the balance. And your gift to the world, Libra, is your natural and serene state of perception, of being able to perceive. All Libras have this gift of perception, and all Libras cope with it differently. Some, cope with it better than others. But because from this sharp perception of what life is, you're able to understand dynamics of partnership, dynamics of relationship. Remember, air signs, your soul lesson is brotherhood/sisterhood. Your soul lesson is relationship, understanding the relationships between things. And so Libra, give yourself permission to remain in an open space in which your perceptions can arise, and don't latch on too quickly to fill that space, right? Because then you'll get to know what is happening in your mind that causes you to perceive things in the way you're perceiving it. And you'll better understand yourself, which is difficult for Libras. Libras have a sharp perception of things outside them. And so it's hard for them to have a strong sense of self. But your strong sense of self will naturally happen if you give yourself permission to be an open, perceptive, just observer of life. And your positivity emanates from your heart of this perception, of the attention that you give other people. Give yourself permission to truly attend to the people in your life, to be attentive to them. And you'll naturally start to learn about yourself through your attentiveness. It'll be kind of mind-blowing. You're also a peacemaker. You're a soul for harmony and balance. And as you create balance in your own self, in your own personal life, you're going to create more balance and more harmony in the world. And the creation of beauty, particularly mental beauty, beauty through words or through ideas, is your gift in this life. So give yourself permission to express yourself and to express what you see in the world, and also to create art and to create relationships that inspire you. Give yourself permission to merge with others in this life. And that's one of the ways that you'll remain positive to your environment in this life. All right, let's come to Scorpio, the 8th sign. Scorpio is opposite Taurus. Taurus is a sign of physical values, of resources. Well, Scorpio is a sign of emotional resources and spiritual, soul-based values. Scorpio is also the sign of sex. This is a part of this. This is a sign that rules the genitals in the human body, which are the parts of our body that we all hide, except to our closest, most intimate partners. And so spiritually, this psychologically, this relates to the parts of ourselves inwardly that we also hide from each other. So Scorpio, you have a way of bringing things to light. You have a way of exposing the truth. And so one of the ways you do that as a water sign is by feeling deeply into things. So you've probably, I've never seen, there's no other sign that has been so heavily traumatized by life. If you ask me, it seems like Scorpios have a soul contract to come into this life with intense suffering. It's kind of crazy. It's the sting of the scorpion. But also in that suffering is your greatest strength. It's your greatest resilience. You're a fixed sign, so you're very resilient and stable. And so that does come from your emotions, but it comes from the willingness to feel all that life brings you. And so if you'll allow yourself to feel into those dark crevices of life, those mysterious caves that echo the reality that life is a mystery, and it's a little scary because it's unknown. But if you'll give yourself permission to feel into that depth of the unknown and to feel deeply into it, you're going to come back with gems and treasures and amazing things that humanity needs now to move forward. The treasures we seek are in the caves that we fear to enter. And if you will give yourself permission to feel the fear, but to move beyond the fear and to continue to feel into those caves of your own self, those deep caverns of self-exploration, then you're going to come back out with this confidence or this ability to know yourself and to help others seek within the shadows within themselves as well. You remain positive in this life by trusting your feelings and not fearing what you'll feel. I hope that's helpful, Scorpio, because you're extremely valuable at this time of our lives. All of you are, but Scorpios need to come out also with the truth, but in a really embodied and I guess you could say emotional or soul-based kind of way. So Scorpio's power is really to transform reality by feeling into the deepest depths of reality. And in this way, you stay kind of intimate with life. So give yourself permission to be intimate with life, to get deep into life, and you'll remain positive. You'll be a positive force in this life. Believe it or not, Scorpio. Sagittarius. Hey, Sagittarius, you are the sign of the philosopher, the explorer, and also in many ways, the healer. And it's a spiritual mental healing that you're here to do as a fire sign. And as the sign that's opposite Gemini, which has to do with mental logic, you're more about the bigger picture, right? You're actually ruled by Jupiter, which is what this full moon is so close to. And your gift to this life to remain positive in the face of negativity is to understand the meaning of your own life experiences. When you understand the meaning, the context of which the whole content has taken place, then that'll cause you to have this breadth of vision, this wideness, which allows you to stay out of the trap of the details that don't matter so much, right? The intellectual mess that people get caught up in, which is all just mental masturbation, as we call it. It's just playing, it's just toying with intellectual stuff, then by remaining grounded to the meaning of your experiences, because Sagittarius does rule the thighs, which are the grounding muscles in the body, then you will have this positivity, which comes from your outlook, your ability to understand that life has meaning, and that will cause you to inspire others and remain a positive force in this life. Always having the willingness to explore whatever comes across the screen of your awareness, rather than feel that you know what you already know everything about what you see, but the willingness to explore it even further is your gift, because you always find more and more treasures actually by doing that. And you're here to uplift us in many ways by just being yourself and giving yourself permission to be optimistic even when it seems foolish, okay? Because don't let anybody ever tell you that that you're a fool for that, because cynics can't quite see what you can see, right? And so your gift is vision. It's the view that you have. That's why it's the archer, because you can see far into the distance and you're going to hit that bullseye as long as you keep yourself centered in the heart, which understands meaning. You're really here to deliver and share meaning in a powerful way. And the more you understand the meaning of your own life experiences and how it shaped you into who you are today, the more you'll be able to shine light to other people who are not perceiving the meaning of life right now. Capricorn, hey Capricorn, out of all the signs in the zodiac, you are the planner. You're the sign of discipline and the sign of order. And you're opposite that sensitive sign of Cancer, but Cancer is still within you, especially being, the opposite sign. And everybody has all the signs within their chart, of course, but if the sun was in Capricorn when you were born, one of the ways in which you can remain positive to the environment and to others in this life is knowing your path. When you know what your path is and the mountain that you're here to climb, and you decide to climb it no matter what gets in your way, because you know that that is your path, that's your destiny, then there's really nobody and nothing that could ever, even slightly shake you off of that. They may perturb you a little bit. They may cause your footing to slip here and there, but ultimately you're never going to lose track of where you're going. And that's what will keep you in alignment with your heart. But you need to make a promise to your heart right now that you understand that the path that is before you, whether you can see the end of it or not, that you're going to remain on that path. And also know that you'll always be on that path, right? So have faith and have trust, and your practical instincts, your pragmatism will kick in order to serve your soul, and not your ego, but your soul. And when you serve the soul, when you allow your personality to serve your soul, and everything you do in this physical world contributes in some way to the awakening of mankind, and you remain positive. And people will really look to you for direction because they'll see that you are not wavering from your own inner direction. So Capricorn, your gift is to remain grounded on the path that is before you, and to know that you have a special destiny in this life and that it's worth working towards. And as long as you continue to move towards it, even if you don't know fully what it is right now, just keep your eyes on the prize and keep, inquiring into your heart. What do I need to do, heart? What am I here to do? What do I desire most deeply? Your heart will tell you in the stillness of your breath, not in the craziness of your thoughts, but in the silence. There's this still voice that comes from the heart, and it comes through insight, not through thoughts. And so just remain connected to your heart, Capricorn, and you're going to build a better life for yourself because that's your natural inborn instinct. And you're also going to build a better life for all of us just by being an example of what it is to be that builder. So give yourself permission to take one step at a time. All right. Aquarius, you're the revolutionary. You're the sign of social change, of liberation. And this full moon is in your sign. And you're opposite Leo, which is the heart. So you can at times seem a little heartless, but that's because you have such a breadth of vision and such wide-ranging ideals, right? So one of the ways in which you remain positive to life as an air sign, especially, is by knowing that we're all different and that we're all individuals. And if you will give yourself permission to be different, and not only to be different, but to discover the ways in which you differ from others, that is allowing yourself to be yourself in the company of other people. And there's this spontaneity that comes through you, this lightning, this electricity, where you might not know what you're going to say until you say it, or what you're even going to do until you're doing it. And if you'll allow yourself to do that spontaneity, you will learn about who you are. But you have to give yourself permission to, remain open to that, to saying whatever comes to mind and doing whatever comes to your heart. But your gift really lies in being able to perceive that we are all different and yet we're all the same. And if you will see all humans on this earth with you as your family, then you will remain positive to your environment because you won't be controlled by them. You will be able to appreciate them and, their control, their desire to control. You see people who try to control, they have no love. They can't help it because hate needs to control you, because hateful people are insecure. They don't have love. But if you will have love, then you'll remain secure in yourself, and you'll see that they just can't help it. And if you'll forgive them, remain yourself no matter what, but don't put effort into being yourself. Allow yourself to be yourself. and you will become who you're meant to be. And that's how you stay positive to this life. You just take things as they come, you roll with the punches, and naturally you're going to create that social change, that liberation within yourself and with all people to be an individual. Pisces, we come to the last sign here. Pisces, your gift of positivity in this life comes through your dreams, your imagination, your ability to have a vision or an ideal of how the future can become. If you will give yourself permission to dream, to imagine a better world, and to create it, to draw it on paper or to sing it in a song or whatever creative medium you use, but give yourself permission to let this idea or ideal be known, then you're going to create not only an amazing life for yourself, but an amazing world for the future generations to come, because you're going to spark those ideas, which could only come from the soul, that will help us to create a more harmonized life, a more unified existence among all humans, all human beings. And really, another way you stay positive is you have the ability to feel into the soul of a person beyond anything physical, beyond their skin color, their background, their language, their culture. You have a way of getting straight to the heart of a human being, but you got to give yourself the same permission. And so if you'll give yourself permission to meet yourself in the chamber of your heart, which is beyond your skin color, beyond your background, beyond your past, beyond your culture, beyond anything, any external layer, and meet yourself there as a soul, as a spiritual being, having a human experience, and don't judge yourself based on anything that's taking place in your personal life, then you will remain positive to your environment. You really will, because you're a dreamer, and dreams come from a place beyond what has happened in this particular life. All right. So that pretty much covers all the signs and all the gifts for each of the 12 signs. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. I hope that message has touched your hearts in some way. Now, I'm going to talk really quickly about the full moon, and then we're going to wrap it up here. So I just want you to know, I love you guys so much. I really love you. And my love does not depend upon a feeling. It doesn't depend upon me feeling anything for me to love you. It's a logical love that comes from the spirit of my heart, the logos, the solar logos, which is the heart of God. And it's a logical, very clear kind of love, because it's, and that allows me to remain consistent in it, because it's not based on a feeling or an emotion. And if you rely on feelings or motivation or inspiration to get you going in life, then it'll be like that game that we used to play as kids: red light, green light, red light, green light. It'll be start, stop, start, stop. So because feelings come and go, they ebb and flow, and the highest is the spirit, right? Someone says, question mark, love is not logical. And that's just where you and I disagree. Love is completely logical. It's so logical for me to love you as I love myself, because I can see that we're the same spirit, we're of the same soul. But other people who can't see that, they don't understand that logic. But it's different. It's different for depending on what you can see. But love is a logical thing. It's perfectly logical. It's warm like the sun. Love is not an emotion. Love is a state of being. The emotional love is the fake love that comes from hate, because it's based on, if you make me feel good, I love you. If you make me feel pleasure and not pain, I love you. If you make me feel pain, I hate you. And so that's not real love. It's not consistent. It's not love. It is, it's based on emotion. It's based on control. It's based on hate. So that's hate. That's not love. Love is logical. It's a logical spirit, which causes you to love somebody, even your enemy. We're called to love our enemies, right? And how can you do that without logic? How can you love your enemy based on emotion? Because your enemy hurts you. They hurt your emotions. And so, spirit is not mind. That's correct. And there's a higher form of logic that goes beyond the mind, is what I'm saying. Maybe that's where the disconnection is. Because logic is revealed to the mind. The mind is the medium through which we use and can see logic, but logic comes from a higher place. It's like when you realize the truth, you didn't create the truth. The truth was there, and you found it, but it was already true, right? And so the mind didn't create the truth. That truth arose from a deeper place or a higher place, from a spiritual place. So correct, spirit is not mind. You're absolutely right. Let me share one last thing. This is a full moon message here for you guys, my beloved people. I love you guys so much. Get involved in that Facebook group. Join the Facebook group if you're on Facebook. I don't like Facebook, but I'm committed to nurturing a relationship with you guys and serving you guys the best that I can. So join that Facebook group. It's in the chat. I posted the link there. Here's the chart of the full moon. We have the sun at the last degree of Leo today. Goodbye, Leo season. Hello, Virgo season. Happy birthday to all you Virgos. And the moon is at the last degree of Aquarius, giving us our last little full moon here in Aquarius. Here's Jupiter here. You'll see this shining star of Jupiter in the night sky tonight, pretty close to the moon. But as of this presentation, see, this was at 5:11 a.m. The moon is now in Pisces, imaginative, creative Pisces, which is why I wanted to do the meeting at this time, because it gets us more deeply into the spirit and into the subconscious, creative, right brain, and so that we can connect to spirit. And so that's what this whole day is going to be like. I invite you to enjoy this day and to relax and flow with the moon in this water sign. And this is where Jupiter is going to be heading back into. Jupiter is currently continuing to expand our mind and to expand humanity's relationship to itself in Aquarius. But then when Jupiter comes back into Pisces, we have in 2022 a massive spiritual awakening that's going to take place. And Jupiter is going to make it like really exciting. Jupiter is the planet that says, did you know? Did you know? He's like the bringer of gifts, the bringer of new insight. He goes, did you know that the heart is 5,000 times stronger than the brain? Did you know that the electromagnetic field extends far beyond the body and is 5,000 times stronger than the electromagnetic field of the brain? So that's like Jupiter. Like he's going to go, hey, humanity, did you know you're all connected? Did you know that you suffer when you resent, when you have hate, because you're not of love? And so a lot of the realizations that we need to hit home, especially these practical spiritual realizations, are going to hit home on a broad scale over the next year. So I'm really excited. Humanity has been given so many ways out of this dark, dreary hole that we're slowly agreeing to go down. And if we will just remain positive from within, you remain positive by living from within, because the world presents negativity to you. You only have to watch a little bit of news to figure that out. But if you will live from within, then you'll have the power to overcome all things in the world. And you don't have to identify with anything the world gives you or tells you to identify with. All right. So this full moon is a gift to do that, to expand our awareness and to open our hearts. And it's the last little taste of Leo season, of heart season, before we come into the more analytical, earthy, practical elements of this Virgo season. So my Aquarius full moon message for you guys, August 22nd, 2021 is this. This moon is full. It's full of insight. It's full of perspective and devotedness to the progress and enlightenment of the individuals which comprise humanity. Humanity is one big family, but we're made up of individuals, completely unique and separate and different from every other individual. All right. And that's how we become enlightened, as individuals, not as groups, not even as families. It's up to the individual. You were born alone and you'll die alone. And that's an amazing, peaceful realization. It's very peaceful and it's very, very amazing, because in your aloneness is your connection to the divine, to your unique self. And it doesn't have to be lonely. Aloneness is not loneliness. There's a difference there. And one can be very deeply and unfathomably enjoyed, while the other one is something that can't, is not always that pleasant. But to be alone is a gift. It's an amazing, amazing gift. This full moon's light is serving to heal whatever part of your mind is closed and to refill that space with wonder, amusement, and curiosity. It costs nothing to be inquisitive, but it costs you everything to reject new information, to deny a clear vision, and to resolve not to see. Don't be afraid to see, you guys. Tonight, you can be instilled with an ability to view things dispassionately, which is to simply see it while retaining your equilibrium, your emotional balance, and avoid getting tied up in an emotional attachment to any idea or anything that you see. Guys, I hope that helped. I hope this served you in some way. I hope it inspired you. I really, really do love you very much. I wish the best for you guys. Be blessed. Remember to use that 20% off discount if you want to get a reading, and send me an email if, if you need assistance or if you have a question, or if you want those links so that you can get my free gifts or schedule with me or peruse any of my offers. So thank you guys. Send me an email. I love you very much. Be blessed. Peace be with you. Thanks for being here. And I will see you next time. Much love.